it's lovely to meet you, and thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today here at Warlingham Methodist Church. As a young person, I think you'll have had a uniquely complex and difficult experience of the last 2 years. Can you tell me a bit about what that's been like for you?
So I actually spent both my 15th and my 16th birthdays in lockdown. So I definitely missed a lot of things, sort of connection with other people. And, I also had my exams during that period, which was incredibly difficult because the whole thing was so uncertain. I had to pretend like everything was all right with my parents and stuff. And then, when I got back into my room, I was stressing about whether I'd have exams or not because they were changing everything every day. And it sort of wasn't until this time last year that I found out that actually we're not doing exams and, I'm going to get back to school and everything's going to be different and it's not going to be how I thought it was going to be. So, I think lockdown was really, really difficult for me.
Gosh, yeah, all those unexpected changes and not knowing what's next. Just so difficult. And what did you miss the most during that time?
I think I felt just really isolated from everyone. I missed connection with my friends at school and with my friends at church, and sort of even people like my grandparents. I didn't get to see them for months at a time, and that was really, really difficult for me. Sort of big celebrations, I missed family's birthdays, I missed my birthday, it's that whole connection sort of aspect. I missed all of it. That's definitely the part that I missed the most.
And in that time of isolation and lack of connection, were there also things that you gained?
I think I gained the sort of confidence in myself because I had to be really, really comfortable with myself. By the end of it, I spent so much time sort of holed up in my room, curtains closed, sort of in and out of these sort of Teams meetings for school and Zoom meetings with my friends, and I was sort of in my room all the time. So I had to become sort of really comfortable with myself because I was always sort of just thinking. I wasn't really talking to people, I wasn't connecting with people, so that whole aspect of being comfortable in myself I had to really strengthen that. And also I think afterwards I gained sort of new appreciation for things. So for things like going to school and learning physically, I think I missed out on that a lot with sort of online learning. And sort of talking face to face with people. It sounds so simple, but it was really, I don't know, before lockdown, I definitely would miss these things for silly reasons, like I was feeling a bit lazy or I didn't really want to go, but now I sort of jump at every opportunity to go out with my friends and to come to church in the mornings and stuff like that, because I don't know, I've just missed it so much over the last 2 years that it's been really important for me to get back into that.
And during that time, were there points of particular darkness or hardship where perhaps God felt absent, but looking back, you can see those footprints in the sand?
I think definitely through the period where I was doing my actual assessments and the waiting time between finishing everything and my results day was really, really stressful and just awful. And again, I did feel really isolated. It was a very new situation for my whole family, so they didn't really understand sort of the things I was going through, even though I tried to explain it. It was still very a unique experience. So I felt really, really alone in those times, but sort of one of the things that helped me get through that was that my grandparents would call me every day and they'd ask, oh, what days are your exams, what times are your exams, and they'd pray for me when I was doing my exams, and then throughout every week after my exams had finished, they prayed for me as well, and they were telling me, they were like, oh, I prayed for you today, hope you're doing well, even though I couldn't see them and I couldn't connect with them face to face, there was still that sense that because they were praying for me, I was reminded that sort of God is there, and he was with me the whole time. And looking back, I don't think I would have been able to get through it the way I have, and to gain the sort of new confidence and comfort in myself that I have without those sort of moments of just being reminded that God is there with me. Yeah.
So a sense of being held in some of those darkest or those worst moments of struggle. And I wonder if you can tell me a bit about what reconnecting has been like for you.
Yeah, reconnection's been really quite difficult because of sort of the amount of time that we spent in lockdown. I didn't see my friends for months at a time. I think reconnection with my friends from school was a lot quicker than my friends from church, because I've been going to school every day and I saw my friends from school throughout the exam period, but then with my friends from church, I'd get here and we'd all be wearing masks, and then we weren't allowed to stay in after the service, and the services were shorter and everything like that, and to even catch up we'd have to be braving the conditions outside, and it was always really windy and cold. So that definitely made that aspect of reconnection with people at church a lot more difficult. But then also after lockdown, I got a lot more involved in service in the church, which I think has been a massively important part of my reconnection. I sort of will be sitting at the back doing the PowerPoint or the sound, or I'll be playing piano at the front with the worship team, which is something I never would have done before lockdown. But as part of this reconnection with the church and with, with everyone, I have got more involved, and yeah, I definitely don't think I would have been able to do that before lockdown.
And I wonder where you see the cross in all of this.
For me, it's that I think the idea that God cared for me so much that he sent his son down really makes me feel so much less isolated, sort of in reflection, sort of in these times where it gets darker, I can go back to that sort of idea that there is a God who cares and a God who, will sort of wrap his arms around me and, comfort me when those times get really, really difficult. And they did get really, really difficult. And I think the presence that sort of the cross gives me, that sort of presence that Jesus gives me, has made my reconnection, especially sort of my involvement and everything, a lot better. It's made it so much easier for me to sort of get involved at the front and do readings or playing piano, because even though it's really nerve-wracking, I still feel that presence of worship around me, and I think that's been really, really important for me.
Wonderful. And you've just touched upon this a little bit in what you've just said, but I wonder where you see the resurrection hope in everything that you've been through and that others have been through.
Yeah, when I sort of heard this question, the thing I thought of was when the disciples were locked up in the room and they saw Jesus, and they were filled with that sort of hope again, because they were all really scared when they were locked in. And I feel like there's a real reflection in what was happening, in the past 2 years, and then Jesus giving them that hope again. I think it really reflects my situation, where everything felt dark and dismal for 2 years, and then sort of coming out of the other side, it gives me hope that this pandemic, everything about this will pass, and it will get better, and everything will be okay. And it made me think not just of tomorrow, but in the future and further in the future, everything will be okay.
Absolutely, and I think that's such a moving thought about Jesus appearing to us in those locked rooms and those enclosed spaces that we've been forced into during lockdown. Have you got any further reflections?
I think just that through this time, I've really found a new sort of renewed bond with the church, and I think that was something really interesting. It's not something that I thought would happen, but sort of when I came back and I was getting involved in things I'd never got involved in before, and I was way too scared before lockdown to even touch the piano up there, even though I've been playing piano for a long, long time. But then after this, I was just so eager to get back into things that even though it's really nerve-wracking and it still does scare me, you know, now to play piano while the whole congregation is worshipping, I think, it's just something that I've reflected on, that this lockdown has actually helped me gain the confidence to do these things and the eagerness to get involved in the church.
Well, thank you. Rebecca, thank you so much for talking with me today and sharing those insights and those reflections. It's been really lovely to meet you.
You too.